What's the biggest game of this weekend to you? It's an interesting slate because there's not that one top 10 versus top 10 headline game, but I am telling you right now, even though we're going to the Auburn-Penn State game, I think this Miami-Texas A&M game is so loaded. I don't care if you're a fan of either team or not. You could be a Colorado fan for all I care. You could be the offensive coordinator at North Dakota State. This game has everything. You've got a program in desperation mode already in Texas A&M, and wow, like what a drama-filled week it's been since they lost to App State. You've got Miami somehow out of the spotlight right now, very quietly in ascension mode. You know, you got Mario Cristobal, his first year there. What if they go on the road and get that win, which would be program defining for Mario and company, but would also coincide with just a total and complete meltdown of biblical proportions in College Station, because that will, of course, mean we got more of what we saw last week, essentially. So, boy, in the portal era, you just look at this kind of stuff differently. And I'm not just talking about A&M. Anyone who recruits at a high level in the portal era, you have to always keep in the back of your mind, if a season goes sideways, especially for a team with high expectation, you've always got to worry about departures. That's just the name of the game. I know no one likes to talk about it, but all that's in play here. Also, these two, for all we know, could be recruiting against each other for the time being and for years to come. Man, there's so much to talk about here. If A&M wins, I just want to put this out there as we dive into the prediction. If they win, it will sort of steady things out there, but I got to remind you guys, it's only September, and we've seen vulnerability elsewhere in the SEC West already, and they're undefeated in conference play, mind you, so there's still plenty of time for A&M to get right. Let's dive in. I've heard this sentence a lot. I think most of you have probably said a version of this sentence. It starts a little something like this. Well, if Texas A&M plays the way they did last Saturday, fill in the blank. Miami will beat them, Miami will skull drag them, they won't win 7 games, whatever. Well, A&M may win, they may lose this Saturday. I will give you a pretty sure guarantee on my end. The last thing I expect from Texas A&M Saturday is for them to look like they did last Saturday. That's not guaranteeing a win, because you can look better than you did last Saturday and still lose to a Miami team, which in their own right has some weapons and has the ability to beat you in a couple different ways. But in college football, a lot of times, you see the best performance usually after the worst performance, and there's a reminder of the horror story that was the A&M App State box score from the other day. A lot of times people predicate their next week's picks on last week's result, and when you get a bad result, the last thing you want to do is predict a duplicate result the following week, because there's never a higher level of motivation to change it. And there is maximum pressure this week on that roster, on the quarterback room. We'll talk about it in a second. But think about that coaching staff. Jimbo talked about giving up play calling duties at his press conference yesterday. Not voluntarily, mind you. He was asked about it. What I wish they would have asked is, are you willing to change systems? No one asked if you're willing to change the offense. I digress. That entire organization at A&M, for all intents and purposes, has their season on the line this week. So there is no motivation to do the things they did last week because they don't want the result they got last week. So whatever we get this week, I think it'll look different. So with that out of the way, what does Texas A&M need to do here? I'll give you a couple of keys I'll be watching for each team. This thing doesn't kick off until 9 Eastern, by the way. All y'all got a problem with big noon kickoff. Nobody wants to hate on the fact that a certain other network is starting this game at 9 Eastern. Gross. Meemaw would shudder at the very thought of this. Texas A&M needs to affect Tyler Van Dyke. They didn't do a good job of this last week, and it's not that App State put up a bunch of points, but they couldn't get him off the field. That's how they ran 82 plays to Texas A&M's 38. They could not affect the quarterback enough. They were disruptive on the line of scrimmage, which this sounds kind of counterintuitive, but they did not get home. They didn't get to the quarterback. Here's my worst case scenario for Texas A&M Saturday. Tyler Van Dyke and this still evolving Miami offense, they are not clicking yet. They absolutely are not. They go in, and you don't get to him early, and he completes a couple of big throws a la Quinn Ewers against Alabama last week, and then all of a sudden, there it is. The Miami passing game's in rhythm. Josh Gaddis is calling the game of the year for him. That's not what I want if I'm A&M. Got to affect them early. Okay, because I can be pretty sure they're not going to run the ball down our throats. They're not going to do that. Now, the other side of that is, even if you do affect him, and even if you do set them up in a lot of third and longs, they got to be able to get off the field. In Texas A&M, this is not a poverty defense. They absolutely have the personnel on both sides of the ball, but especially defense, to play a whole heck of a lot better than they did last week. That's why I do not advise selling this team down the river yet. Because if it was a locker room that was void of talent, and if it was a coaching staff that was void of the ability to develop and salvage, that'd be one thing. That's not this program. This program's still capable. This team's still capable of a whole lot, but not many big plays last week for them on offense against App, but they could not get home defensively. They couldn't get off the field defensively, and it cost them. So you look at Miami now. What I'm saying sounds easy. They're good in pass pro. Run blocking, they got it to do Saturday. But Miami pass pro, one of the strengths of their offensive line, it's not impossible, but it's a challenge to take that quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, on the road. It's their first time out on the road. Like I said, there's a lot new offensively with Miami. They need execution from the wide receiver position. You know, I don't know how much you've watched them so far this year. There have been 2 what should be layup games for Miami, but remember back in spring and then remember in fall camp, one of the themes with that Miami offense was drops from the wide receiver position, goes back to last year. They can't have that crop up Saturday. Stands to reason. They can't have that. They're still a 5.5-point dog, and that's with as bad as A&M looked the other day. There is a lot of talking around A&M right now about who's going to start at quarterback in this game. I was reading over on Texas A&M. I think Billy just put up a practice report a little bit earlier today that essentially said they're splitting reps with the ones out there. So Haynes King, still taking reps. Max Johnson, the LSU transfer, taking reps with the ones. A lot of people are biding their time until the Connor Wegman name enters that conversation. Doesn't sound like he's in there right now. Who starts the game? Question number 1. Is that who finishes the game? Question number 2. How many easy completions can Jimbo Fisher get his quarterback? This is, to me, what separates play callers. I don't question play calling. I never do it. I'm not qualified to do it, and neither are a majority of the people who do it. But the one thing from a very simple perspective that the best coordinators do in the college game is they find a way to get easy completions. They find a way to create space early. Sark is masterful at it. And I'm not saying you need to be Steve Sarkisian, but my goodness, if your MO is play calling, if you've been in this game as long as Jimbo Fisher has, I got to bank on you being able to do that. And that's been one of the shortcomings of his offense over the last several years. I'm not going to hold up the milk jug again. That got serious run. But I'm just saying, if you want to see a different result, have a different start. And if you want to have a different start, give me some easy completions. Scheme guys open. That doesn't mean throw it deep. That actually is conversely meaning work the underneath stuff and at least get some rhythm in the offense. I have a feeling about this thing. I did the moment that App State game ended. I think for better, not for better or for worse, but for better, you'll see an inspired performance from A&M Saturday. We know what history says about this game. History, if you've watched this game, if you've observed this game, let me put it that way, for a long time, when these supremely talented teams put forth the effort and result they did last week, you know what happens the next week. When they have the benefit of home crowd on their side, you really know what happens. When they're facing a first-year staff and an offense still settling in, and they do outclass the opponent physically, you know what's supposed to happen. A&M is supposed to make bettors look stupid Saturday because a lot of them are going to be preying on Miami plus the points. Give me anyone plus points against A&M, and it's supposed to be 30-13. Texas A&M wins the ballgame. That's what it's supposed to be. I am not going to give you a margin of victory here tonight. What I am going to do is show you what Vegas thinks about the game, and I'm going to show you what our model thinks about the game. Like a lot of you, I was disgusted with what I saw from A&M last week. Like some of you, I am very high on Miami this year. I think that they may very well play for the ACC championship game. I think it's a very bad spot for Miami Saturday for a number of reasons. I think the game you're going to see Texas A&M play is going to lead to them winning. It's going to lead to them covering. And furthermore, it's going to lead to you saying, how did this team I'm watching today lose to App State just 7 days ago? That's what I expect to get from them Saturday. There is a world where I'm wrong and Mario Cristobal goes in there and does to A&M what he did to Ohio State last year when he was at Oregon. And, buddy, do not miss the Sunday show if that happens. but I'm going to ride historical norms in this sport, and I'm going to ride a lot of, what our model thinks, because the model has A&M -6. So we're even a little bit more bullish on the Aggies than the odds makers are. I think it's a little early for Miami. They're going to learn from it now. I think they'll be better for this. Could still very well accomplish all their goals this year. I'm going to take A&M to win. I'm going to take A&M to cover. I think you'll watch a much, much different looking team, same group of guys, much different looking performance this Saturday. Guys, thanks for watching Late Kick. Make sure and leave a comment. I love interacting with you. But most of all, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That's how we keep all of this free.